thanks, Shannon, for asking me to come. And it's a pleasure to work with your dogs. Are they still doing okay?
Yeah, they're
good. We don't always get as much follow-up a few months or so after, so it's nice to know. A lot of friends, Mother, thanks for coming. Steve, Marcia, a few people I don't know, but anyway, thanks for coming, and I hope you guys get something out of it. I was going to start with a story, and I don't even know if my mother remembers this, but when I was about 10, we moved from Phoenix to Los Angeles, and I had a cat, and I had trained the cat to come to the word chow time, and we lived on the side of Camelback Mountain, and you know, so I hollered out chow time, and the cat came, and you know, it was a little bit tense because we didn't know where the cat was. And I just remember so vividly telling my mother that I had to feed him. I hadn't taught him to come, but I taught him chow time meant to come to get fed. That I had to feed him, or he was never going to trust me again. And that was sort of my attitude about the, you know, a dog and about pets, you know, at 10 years old. And so, in terms of positive dog training and you know, how can a dog trust us if we're going to, you know, yell at them? How can they trust us if they think maybe we're going to jerk them on the leash, or even you know, shoot them with a squirt bottle? You know, if they were doing something like that, you know, that's you know, kind of an aggressive response. And you know, if your dog thinks that it might be getting in serious trouble, I think, you know, we do have a chance of risking, you know, their trust. A couple examples I like to use, but one of them is you know, and dispel some more myths about dog training. One of them is you know, everybody says your dog can't remember what they've done. Well, dogs have a wonderful memory. They absolutely can remember what they've done. In fact, if your dog jumps on the couch for 1 second once in its life, it will remember for its whole life that is the most wonderful place in the world. And every time your dog walks by a couch, it's going to say, I was on one of those once. If your dog finds chicken bones in the trash can, dogs know that chicken bones, the trash cans in the kitchen have the most wonderful food in them. And every time your dog walks by a trash can, it's going to say, they keep chicken bones in there. Are there any bones in there today? And what happens is, if we reprimand the dog, we think we've caught them in the act, and we reprimand the dog, we make it nearly impossible to possibly teach them what we want them to do. What we do is we teach them to be very sneaky. And so if you come home and you think you've caught your dog in the act by them being on the couch, and you think this is a perfect time to reprimand them, I've caught them in the act, or a little bit worse than that, they've gotten off the couch because you have reprimanded them the last time you came home, so they know not to be on the couch when you get home. But it's warm, there's fur on the couch, the cushion is rising back up again, and the dog's sitting in the corner looking away from the couch. You drag them back to the couch. They know that you coming home is very unpleasant. They know that being dragged back to the couch is very unpleasant. But the couch is wonderful. When you leave in the morning, there's absolutely nothing that's going to stop them from lying on the couch. In the 70s when I started training, in the 80s when I started training professionally, you know, we were taught to do jerks on leash and stuff like that. And thankfully, I'm among many that have decided that that isn't the way they wanted to keep training dogs. And so we've been training when the methods were that way. We've crossed over to new methods that are more positively based. Couple terms that I really don't like are dominance and alpha. And you know, there's a popular theory that you know, says your dog does everything wrong because you're not dominant over them. And I don't think that, you know, your dog pulls because you're not dominant over your dog. I mean, you're certainly not a leader, and I like that term better. But your dog probably pulls because it likes where it goes. It probably pulls because it gets some benefit when it gets there. I don't think your dog digs in the backyard because you're not dominant over your dog, that you're not alpha over your dog. The dog probably digs in the backyard for some other reason. You know, I prefer terms like leader and respect than you know, being alpha over our dogs and being dominant over our dogs. You know, one of the first things I heard when I started to take up training is when your dog was bad, alpha rolled them and rolled them over and sit on them until they. And you know, fortunately, that was something that I never considered. But our training is causative based. And so what we try to do is not treat the symptoms, but to try to treat the cause of the problem. I like the term consequence. Your dog does things, and then there's a consequence. And if the consequence is good, then they'll do it more. If the consequences are bad, then they'll do it less. And bad consequences are considered punishment. By definition, punishment is something that reduces a behavior. But what and so punishment is very effective in dog training. What I try to do is avoid confrontational punishment. I try to avoid punishment that incites fear. And you know, when a dog was getting very mouthy when you petted it, I learned very quickly, stop petting it. And the mouthiness went away. Try to hold the dog down, try to teach them how bad they are for being mouthy. What they're doing is they're getting more attention for the bad behavior, and that's unfortunately what a lot of symptom-related training does, is it gives dogs more attention for doing something wrong. We tell a dog to sit, they get up, we say, no, keep sitting. They get up, we say, no, stay, they get up. And so we end up giving them attention when they're doing wrong, exactly what we don't want. The negative consequences of punishment, the negative consequences of forceful training, sometimes are quite difficult to reverse. I've had a number of aggression cases come through my school that I'm quite certain the aggression is because of repeated punishment to the dog. If you have a dog that's very dominant, that doesn't want to be reprimanded anymore, very often it turns into an aggressive dog. And the dog says, stop doing that to me. I don't want this anymore. And so more aggression on the dog's part leads to more aggression on the owner's part, and so it can escalate. Another serious consequence of reprimanding that kind of behavior is if the dog growls. That's maybe one of the most wonderful things that could happen, is because you have a really clear warning that the dog's about to bite and you can stop what you're doing. But if you reprimand the dog for growling, very often they skip the growl and go straight to the bite. So that you don't have that warning, and you don't have that ability to avoid being bitten. So you know, there can be some serious consequences that make it much harder to train the dog by using punishment, by using, you know, with the getting on the couch. If you were to come home and you saw your dog on the couch and you said what a wonderful dog it was, found the couch, and then you taught the dog to go lie down on its bed, pretty soon the dog's going to come in and look at the couch. Why should I stop at the couch when I get rewarded for going to my bed? And we can quite effectively teach the dog not to go on the couch. Counter surfing is a common problem. Dogs have counter surfing or stealing from the trash. And you know, again, you come home and you find your dog in the middle of the living room floor with a block of cheese or the Thanksgiving turkey or something like that. And I'm going to suggest that telling the dog he's bad is going to be absolutely the wrong thing, and that it's going to prevent you from ever solving the problem, because he's going to know that cheese is delicious and that you're annoying, and he's going to be very careful to only steal cheese when you're not around. But so I'm going to say, if you find your dog with the cheese, you thank your dog for finding the cheese. You tell your dog what a good dog it is for finding the cheese, and you say, you know, this is our cheese, and here, have a piece of cheese. And I'm going to have a piece of cheese. I'm going to put mine over here because it's and you have a piece, and I'm going to have a piece of it, and I'm going to this block, and I'm going to save that for us. And you're a wonderful dog, and thank you for finding the cheese. Okay. Now, in the future, I at least have the ability to teach my dog not to steal cheese. rather than to hide from me or to be guilty or thinking that by reprimanding him, how else can you teach them